Right, so with bearings, you know the main things you have to remember that the angles are always measured in a clockwise direction from north. So when you're putting your protractor onto the diagram, the 0 is lined up with north and you're measuring the angle in this direction clockwise. So the context of this question, the diagram shows 3 places, Ferndale, Aberwan and Candle, in the positions that they would appear on the map, and the map is drawn to scale. So the first thing we have to do is measure the angles marked X and Y. So get your angle measurer. Angle X, 0 is lined up with north. The center of the protractor is on the point representing Ferndale, and then you're reading off the outside scale on your protractor down as far as where the line crosses, and you can see there that that is 76 degrees. So the angle marked X is 76 degrees. And then the angle marked Y, again, move the protractor so the center is on the point and north is 0. And this time, in order to measure this angle, you need to be moving along the inside scale. So that particular angle is going to be 50 degrees. So those are just angles that they're asking you to measure there. You don't have to actually work out any bearings. Now the first bearing that you have to find is the bearing of Aberwan from Ferndale. Now the way that that is written is suggesting or telling you that you are actually standing at Ferndale and you want to find out the bearing from Ferndale to Aberwan. So they actually want you to find that angle. The bearing is going to be, if you're standing at Ferndale looking north, and then you turn yourself or your head until your line of sight is pointing towards Aberwan. The angle that you turn through is the bearing, and you can see from that diagram that the bearing in this instance is actually angle X. But bearings are given as 3 figures, so if the angle is less than 100 degrees you would write that with a 0 in front of it. So the bearing of Aberwan from Ferndale is 076 degrees. Ferndale from Aberwan means that you are standing now at Aberwan pointing north, and again you are turning in a clockwise direction until your line of sight is pointing at Ferndale. So the angle that you want in this instance is that angle there. Put the centre of your protractor on Aberwan, line 0 up with north, and read off again the outside scale is where 0 begins, 10, 20, 30 and so on, until you come around to the line that joins Ferndale, which here you will see is 255 degrees. So that angle there is 255 degrees. And the final question here is the bearing of Aberwan from Candle. So now you're standing at Candle, you're looking north, facing north, and then you're turning in a clockwise direction until your line of sight is pointing at Aberwan. So the angle that we want is this angle here. Now you can either measure that again, or you can use your knowledge of angle properties. You know that all the way around from north back to north again would be 360 degrees. You know that angle Y is 50, so you could, rather than measure this time, you could do 360 degrees less the angle Y, which you don't want, leaving you a bearing of 310 degrees. So you could do it using angle properties, or you could measure it using the protractor. The second question on this first sheet, again, different context. Ship S is on a bearing of 075 degrees from Dublin and on a bearing of 330 degrees from Aberdaron. by drawing suitable lines on the diagram below, mark the position of X. So the first piece of information there is that it's on a bearing of 075 from Dublin. So that means that we're measuring our bearing from Dublin. So if we get our angle measurer and put the centre on Dublin, north lines up with 0, and we're measuring now outside 75 degrees, which takes us to there. Now draw that line in. Don't just leave the dot there, because you may lose it when you draw the next line. So we know that the ship is lying somewhere on that line. In order to locate exactly where it is on that line, we need now to draw the line from Aberdaron. And looking back at the question, the bearing from Aberdaron is 330 degrees. So we take our protractor, line up the centre on Aberdaron, 0 north, and we read around the outside of the protractor until we get to 330 degrees, which is there. Join those 2 points together, and where they cross, mark clearly S. And that's that question done.